Alright, today we're going to be making an ash pitcher. We will need some 12mm tubing, some 44 by 4mm tubing, and some 25mm tubing. And for this one, we're going to put some color on it, so I decided to use this nice blue crybaby color, is what they call it. So here we go. We're going to get started. First things first, we need to attach to our 44 by 4. Go. Now we got a nice even blank. Alright, here's how you do some coil potting. You start with your rod, and you start with the blank. Alright, so basically how to coil pot is you want to keep just the tip of the rod in the flame, just so it's hot enough for you to apply it onto the main vessel. And you want to make sure to keep the vessel, the lip of the vessel where you're applying the rod, a little bit out of the flame so that it doesn't manipulate and that you don't change the shape of the previous layers of rod that you've just laid down. You want it to maintain an even and symmetrical rotation around the circumference of the vessel. But in order to do that, you have to make sure that your hands are rotating at a very consistent speed. They don't have to be at the exact same pace, but just consistently, without speeding up or slowing down. There you go. You got a nice even coil pot. Now you just want to even it out, and then you can shape the vessel. Now it looks a little bit more even. Alright, now you just gotta shape the vessel. So here we've got our blank with a little bit of color at the end. Now we're just gonna heat up the first 5 slices on the left. If you imagine the whole blank is 10 slices of bread, we're just heating up the left 5 slices. And we're going to marver it at a complete flat angle, so that would be, I guess, 0 degrees, and we're going to slowly start lifting and increasing that angle until about 45. We've got it nice and molten hot. Give it some rolls, nice and flat, while I'm pumping. Slightly change the angle. As you can see, it started to expand a little bit. Alright, and you repeat the process to get the desired shape. Alright, once you get the desired shape, you gotta flatten out the base. Now you gotta put a hole in the bottom of it so you can work the other side. Alright, now we have to attach some 9.5 to some 12mm. So there you go, now that you got it connected. If you don't want to apply color, you can just start shaping the joint, but I'm going to apply some color to it. Alright, now we're going to make the joint. To make the joint, you just have to have the joint forming tool and some glass that will fit inside of it. So what you're going to do is basically stuff and puff. You'll stuff the glass inside the tool and then puff it so it takes the shape of the tool. You make sure to go back and forth. Nice even heat surface. Don't heat up too much, just the amount that will go inside the tool. Yep, fits the tool just fine. Now we're going to pop a hole at the very base of it so we can control the other side. Alright, once you've opened up the hole again, just check to make sure that it still fits just fine. Alright, it fits just fine. Now we're just going to attach a blow tube to the other side right here. Alright, now for the female joint, we need about an inch or an inch and a half of 25mm tubing. Alright, now another way to apply color instead of coil potting would be to stripe it on. And I'm going to demonstrate that for you now. To stripe it on, you basically just heat up the rod at the tip and then gently apply it to the tube. And do it in a vertical motion. And it looks like I'm drawing with the rod onto the tube. What I'm actually doing is I'm moving my left hand forward, which is holding the tube, and I'm keeping my right hand, which is holding the rod, in the exact same place. So So it's a bit of an optical illusion, but if you remove the rod from the flame, then it won't be able to melt onto the tube. So you have to make sure to keep the rod onto the tube and onto the flame. And then you just puff it down and shape it the same way you do when you're coil potting. Alright, so to make the female joint, you just basically want to make sure you have a piece of glass that can fit over the tool, and you also want to have a male joint, the opposite type. And since I'm going to be making this a recessed joint, I'm going to be flaring out the lips extremely far, further than I normally would, so that they can connect to the main vessel. There we go. We got our lips pretty flared out. And what helps me is to have the back of the tube plugged up. So I just use a little earplug. Get it all nice and melty. I'm going to go elbow up, so that it kind of falls down over the tool. That allows it to get the best shape. Now we have to connect to the bottom of the main vessel so we can use the opposite axis. You want to make sure that when you rotate it in your left hand, that it doesn't wobble. The base stays perfectly level. We're just going to open it up and coil pot some color on the other end. Alright, now we just want to pop some color on the other end here, and then pop a hole so we can stick the female joint in there. Alright, so now we're just sticking on some glass where we're going to attach the joint, and we'll puff some air through it to make a hole. Now we just have to attach the joint.